Hey there, Ian. How's it going?
It's going.
Yes, it is. And it's Wednesday. That means it's time for Blank as a Fart.
Indeed.
Welcome, everybody. It's our Twin Peaks podcast. Thanks for joining us while we take Ian on his first trip through David Lynch's weird little corner of the Northwest. Here we are on what, episode six, is it already?
6.
Wow, we are plugging away 6 episodes in. How are you feeling so far?
Oh, not bad. It's just I haven't got I have I I don't know what I can say.
He's speechless,
I'm
folks.
speechless. I like
He's speechless.
I think we both kind of made it here just in time to record tonight, and it's just been kind of
Yeah,
a I just got internet back today, so it's just been like this
right,
kind of
yeah.
whirlwind of craziness. But
Yeah, we're a little under prepped this week, maybe, but we're going at it. We're going to get through it. We're not under prepped in that we didn't watch the episode. We got our notes there.
hmm
So yeah, do we got any housekeeping to start off with before we launch in?
just the normal stuff. You can find us on all the podcasting platforms under the Couch Co-op Show. I will say this though, Spotify finally has changed their. They've been working in the back end, and I can't say for sure. I'm gonna say 2 weeks. I'll give it. It won't be next week, but maybe the week after. Blank as a Fart will be separating from the Couch Co-op, and we will be our own podcast.
Oh, nice.
So you will be able to search for us as just Blank as a Fart, and we'll be available on all the platforms. But I cannot say definitively that'll happen next week or the week after, but hopefully in a couple weeks. I have a lot of shit going on this week. I'm trying to get the band has a release coming up, and I need to work on my film part.
Uh,
So there's some other work I'm
gotcha.
doing, but hold tight. We are going to separate, and so that'll be cool. And it'll be make it easier for people to find us and dedicated links. And Gabe can stop shouting out Couch Co-op. He can just say, "Blank as a fart. It's all mine." Anyway, that's coming. That's coming.
Well, I mean, talk about shout outs. I want to hear what's going on with the band. Let us know.
Oh, okay. So the band, I'm with the band Exquisite Taste of Plain Water.
I've
And
seen them play. They are awesome.
we have our new album. Our new album's finished recording. It's in the mixing mastering stage. But because, bands are different nowadays and money is a hard thing to come by when you're a struggling band, we've decided to release the album in 3 chapters. So
Hmm.
and then I've made a companion film, like a feature-length film for the album. So we'll be releasing the first chapter in a couple weeks, hopefully. And so 3 new songs and the film, and then throughout the rest of this year, we'll be releasing second and third chapter. And then when the whole album's done, then I will compile the chapters together, and then there'll be one giant feature film. And so there's a whole kinds of stuff happening. But yeah, Exquisite Taste of Plain Water.
Nice.
Um,
Big project.
etpw.band is the website. We have a new website rolling out too. So currently it's the old website, but when the first chapter drops, the new website will go live. So we got a lot of stuff happening, and then we'll have a lot of shows coming up soon too. Anyway, but that's that kind of stuff. I got too many
Yeah.
projects. I work on too much stuff, Gabe. I got like 20,000 podcasts. I got like films. I do too much. I gotta reel it in.
Hey, nothing wrong with keeping yourself busy.
I guess.
But,
Anyway,
don't burn the candle at both ends.
I'm guilty of that all the
Or
time.
whatever cliche we use
Right?
for that scenario,
That's what beer is for. It just kind of puts out the fires, but not really. All right, let's get to it.
Yeah, all right. Episode 6, Cooper's Dreams. Bum, bum, bum.
Mm.
All right, so this week we open in the wee hours at the Great Northern. No sweet dreams for Cooper as he's awakened by the rowdy shenanigans of a contingent of Icelandic investors arriving with Jerry Horn.
I
guess
love
they're
I
in
love
for
I
an
love
oxus
Angry
move
Coop.
off.
I love Angry Coop.
Right?
Just
Yeah, he's
grumpy.
like legitimately pissed off for once. I mean, even still, he's like, I don't want to say he's like unperturbed because he's clearly perturbed, but it doesn't really alter how he approaches things all that much. Like, first thing he does is talk to Diane and just order earplugs.
Yep. Pretty funny.
I mean, he doesn't really even say anything all that negative aside from he doesn't like the song.
I mean, he just doesn't like Icelanders, obviously. He's clearly
Oh yeah,
racist in some way. I don't
right?
know.
Yeah. Hate hate Scandinavia. Hate. But he loves trees. Anyway, he heads down to the dining room for his morning coffee while they're still going at it. He's approached by Audrey, who informs him about her new job, but he's too tired and irritable to do a whole lot of flirting this morning.
I don't know. I mean, at first, yes. But then she
After
works. She
a couple
kind of,
sips of coffee, yeah.
especially when he finds out she's only 18. It's like,
Oh, dude.
so I write this like she's 18. So is this so it's not creepy?
And this is at the beginning of the episode, mind you.
Oh, I know. There's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much to unpack at the end of the episode because of all. Anyway,
Right.
we'll get
yeah.
there. We'll get there.
We will get there.
But yeah, she's 18.
So
She lets out that she's 18, and
he's 18. Yep.
there's nothing I like more than
He gets
Audrey
about
flirting,
there.
dude. There's nothing I like more than Audrey's the best character in the show, hands down, in my opinion, so far. If there was no Audrey, I'd have a hard time watching.
Fair enough.
All right.
And she's not just eye candy. I mean, she gets to
no.
flex her muscles a lot today.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not
she
talking
gets-
about eye
she gets-
candy. I mean, yeah,
No,
she's
no.
eye candy, but like when she's flirting with
yes.
Coop, that's like literally some of the funnest stuff. And I think it's
Yeah.
just fun how
It is. They do have a good. They play off of each other well in those scenes.
because it's good acting until you get to the
is.
rest of the show where it's just littered with just some of the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, go ahead.
So then we get Jerry stumbling into Ben's office.
Jerry's
Where
back.
they're discussing the plans for the gala. Oh yeah, David Patrick Kelly. Always good to see him.
What's
around.
with this guy? Every time he shows up, he's got a new piece of food.
Right? Yeah. the uncooked leg of lamb, and he just drops it on Ben's desk like pretty as you please. Yeah, Jerry is one of my favorite characters for sure. As far as comic relief goes, he gets a lot of the good spots for that. They discuss plans for the gala that they're going to hold for these new investors, and then if that doesn't work, maybe they'll give them a free trip to the whorehouse. Leland shows up. He's still looking a little loony, but he's doing his best to serve in his capacity as Ben's attorney. How is this going to work out?
Rough is how
I mean,
that's
yeah,
gonna work
he's in
out.
there like he's trying. His hair is combed, but he's still got like the dinner jacket. I want to call that, or the sweater. I mean, that's not. Isn't that a cardigan?
I don't know what it is. It looked like
yeah.
it was a robe that someone had cut the bottom off. That he was like, because it looks from the top up, you would say he's like in the Ferris Bueller robe, but then you look at it, it's a coat.
It looked like something that a mental patient would wear in like a stereotypical 90s. Like, make him look like something out of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's kind of the impression that I'm getting with Leland. It's a really...
I would love to meet...
in this day and age, there were not very complex portraits of mental illness.
Oh, sure. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into some more into that. But I would love to talk to the wardrobe person. Like just primarily, like last week we talked about the sheriff's Harry, right? Mm-hmm. Harry's jacket. Yeah. And now we have this jacket, Leland's jacket. Yeah. And it's just like this person who finds ugly jackets is on point, man. I don't know. And I guess Pacific Northwest was known for ugly jackets. I don't know. I'm not sure what the commentary on this is, but holy fuck. I don't know.
Maybe the thrifting in the filming location was just exceptionally bad or something.
And as we're not quite there yet, but as we transition into the next scene, clearly Harry was listening to my comments in last week's show because he's not wearing the jacket.
No, yeah, he's a little more professional on this one. Maybe that has something to do with them being on the crime scene,
maybe.
Or potential crime scene for most of the show. But again, we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get to it right now.
I know, exactly. See how that works?
Chief Wiggum, PI, will return right now. There's my one Simpsons reference for the week. I'll try and limit myself to one per week. Although
I watched more
I haven't gotten
Simpsons.
any.
I've seen more Simpsons than I have seen Twin Peaks, so
Fair enough.
I'm not going to get the
I
references,
think the
but
same is true of pretty much everybody on the planet,
there you go.
with a
There you
few
go.
exceptions.
Right.
So the cops are tossing Jacques Renault's apartment, where they're uncovering quite a lot of clues here. They learn the blood on Leo's shirt belonged to Jacques, not to Laura. Cooper finds a copy of Flesh World hidden in the light fixture,
Flesh World.
where he recognizes the picture of Leo's truck.
A different picture of Leo's truck, though.
I'm going to leap to his defense, though. The first time that Cooper saw a copy of Flesh World, he had not yet met Leo Johnson. So he would not have known what his truck looked like at that point.
Gotcha.
Bad form on Harry for not recognizing it, though.
This is true. I will say, here we are. Last week, no donuts. This week, donut.
Oh,
box,
yeah, right away.
Joke, and then donut orgasm.
Yeah. Cooper fueled by donuts and coffee, like, any good police officer.
Anyway, I was glad. I was like, did David Lynch send a note?
See them bring him to life.
I feel like David Lynch sent a note. It's like, there were no donuts in last week's episode. What is going on?
Who knows, man? He makes some interesting notes. Did you get that video I sent you this week?
I did see that.
Maybe this was the wrong time to mention that.
That was pretty funny, though.
Yeah, I thought you'd find that amazing.
Who the fuck cares if a scene's too long? Classic.
Pisses me off. Yeah. Great stuff. Breakfast Nookie is where we're at now with Bobby and Shelley. Bobby gives another big tough guy spiel about what he'll do to Leo again before a car door slam sends him scurrying like a cockroach. But it's just Andy.
This dude cannot act to save his life. I don't know.
He's a kid, man.
Is he?
And he's playing a kid. I think he's probably about 20 at this point, but he's not too far off from high school. I think, and again, I'm jumping ahead, but, he gets to demonstrate some range here.
This is last thing he ever acted in, right?
What's that?
This is probably the first and last thing he ever acted in?
No, he had a few credits here and there.
Oh, did he?
Like, I think there was a random Law and Order. I mean, it wasn't prolific by any means, like a few of the other people.
Gotcha.
But, but yeah, Andy shows up, asks Shelley a couple of questions, and Shelley kind of directs him toward that connection between Leo and Jacques, just like she and Bobby had planned.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to really comment on this scene. I did think it's funny that like Bobby's pretty much standing in the window, spying on them, and yet every time Andy looks over, he kind of moves a little bit, but he's like standing right there. It's like whatever. It's just silly.
Yeah. Oh, it's an outdated vibe for sure. But like I said, Twin Peaks is halfway between us and I Love Lucy. So keep that for your perspective right there. So when Leo calls to check in real quick, Bobby silently puts the gun in Shelley's hands to remind her where that power lies. Foreshadowing. Now we're off to Big Ed's gas station, and we're here to see he and Norma tragically deciding to part ways for a while, as their respective marriages are just going to make this affair too darn complicated to keep up.
Yeah, it's also where she tells him that Hank's back. That's why. Kinda...
Oh,
well, it's funny. It's funny that Ed's like
learned that at that point.
I think it's basically Ed is weak. Like he's like Norma would do it, but Ed is weak. He doesn't want his wife is sick.
He does.
What's wrong with her? I don't know. Nadine, I mean.
He's referring to her mental state for sure.
She's gonna be a millionaire.
The drapes, dude. The silent drapes.
The silent drapes. She'll be fine.
Yeah. Clearly, Ed is motivated by a lot of guilt there in maintaining his relationship with Nadine. We'll probably get some backstory on that, maybe here in a couple of episodes. A little more explanation.
It's desperately needed. It's desperately needed. I mean, I need to know.
There's some
what?
There is some perspective lacking on certain character motivations here, but you're going to get some gaps filled in. Don't worry.
Okay. I don't know if I need it. We'll see.
And we got some this week, honestly, with James, which
Oh,
we'll
yeah?
see later on.
Oh my god. I know, yes.
Yeah, little rote, but again, this is 34 years ago, man. Okay, Ed and Norma soap opera break up, and we get our very first scene set at Horn's department store. There we go, back to Audrey. Now Ian's interest perks up.
It is, because then it goes from Ed is weak to Audrey is strong. Audrey
Yes,
is...
very good point. Audrey is discussing her new position with the manager, Mr. Battis. His intention is to start her off in gift wrapping, but she makes it abundantly clear through threats and intimidation that her position will be at the perfume counter. Yeah, Sherilyn Fenn is brilliant in this scene. This is, this is Audrey at her finest.
Yep. It's fun to watch
Not
her.
much to add to that
She's
beyond
very
that,
cute.
but yeah.
Whatever she's wearing is hot. The kind of black, weird kind of... It's not like overly weird, but it's kind of that evil, tight kind of thing. Has these strap buttons. Like makes her look like should have been like what is the bad guy female in Rocky and Bullwinkle? This is a short dude and the tall.
Natasha.
Natasha. That's what it reminded me of for some reason. Like a
Boris
spy.
and Natasha. A little bit, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, Audrey, I mean, you get the sense that they kind of want to make her a bad girl, but she's getting to be too popular at this point to be the bad girl.
Well, clearly what she's doing is the bad stuff, but like it seems like she's doing the right... Like she seems like...
She's doing it for the right reasons.
She's doing it for the right reasons, but it's also like the kind of anti-hero that we cheer for nowadays.
Yeah.
Like back then, maybe it would have seemed like, oh, she's just scandalous and bad. But we've evolved to a point where like these certain type of characters are the characters we root for, and like I'm rooting for her to do. I don't know what she's. I mean, I know she wants to like go off and do stuff with Cooper, but I'm not really. I know she's trying to do stuff to help Cooper, but I don't really know what her actual. If that's all her kind of.
Yeah, and I really think that's her only motivation at this point, to get Cooper's attention and to, reel him in, essentially.
Which sucks because
there's more to it than that.
To be a strong independent female. To be a strong independent female.
Yeah, and some of this is her sticking it to her dad too.
Sure.
Because there's still a lot of questions about what Ben Horn's relationship with Laura was. Mm-hmm. We don't necessarily have confirmation that she was working at One-Eyed Jack's, but that's certainly been implied at this point with the perfume, with Ronette and the perfume counter connection.
Right.
And also with like the verbal mention of fresh from the perfume counter when they were discussing the new girl a few episodes ago. So yeah, I mean, Audrey she's not solely motivated by a need to impress Cooper, but it's a big part of why she's doing what she's doing.
Right.
We see more depth to her later on, which we'll get into.
That's kind of the unfortunate thing about Twin Peaks is that all the female characters seem to be, driven by men.
Yeah, largely.
That's the only kind of unfortunate
with maybe
thing,
the exception of Nadine.
Maybe, but she's still...
Maybe necessarily driven by Ed. She just kind of...
Maybe.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the women do like have their power and they all get to display their power. Maybe Catherine's not driven by men.
I would say Maddie is the only character that really has no... at this point, there's no... She has no... Men have no... nothing over her, she's trying to help, but she has no, like... I don't know, interference by men in any way.
Right. Well, yeah.
Which is funny because like Laura
she's not one
obviously
of the people of
did.
the small town, so she doesn't have these
right.
small town romantic entanglements.
But she became a bigger part of the story this week, so it's like
she did, and she will continue to do so.
Audrey just
Audrey at the perfume counter is her plan. Then we're off to a gazebo in the park. And this is backstory with James time. He's filling Donna in on the fact that his dad split when he was a kid. and his mom is a drunk sex addict.
I put it Donna James and his whore mom.
Slut shamer.
Why not?
Why not? It's just a podcast
The
about
acting is
fictional characters.
so that's so bad here. I don't know. It was a rough sequence to watch, in my
I
opinion.
will agree. Even as a kid, I never liked Lara Flynn Boyle's acting in this show. I liked her acting in Wayne's World. She actually felt like she was acting in Wayne's World, but here it was kind of hard to separate. Like, where does
Well, she's better than James or whoever that dude is.
He's pretty wooden.
He's
yeah,
pretty bad.
And I think his real name is James, but I forget what the last name is.
I think you're right. James,
So,
A Few Good Men, Code Red.
Yes. Yeah, he's the dude. So yeah, this doesn't give them a lot to do except chew on scenery. Reaffirm their teenage love and their commitment to.
I'm a broken boy. Take care of
Dude,
me.
it's melodrama. You knew this was coming.
But I don't know if I needed that. I don't even know if I needed this scene. I don't know. I mean, it's background, but it's like unless it plays back into it later.
James and Donna is one of the few normal, stable relationships that we see in this town.
Does James' whore mom pop up?
I don't believe so. No, I don't think we ever see her.
It's not important. Just garbage scene.
No, and it's not important other than James is going to be honest. Doesn't want secrets to destroy the two of them like secrets destroyed Laura.
Okay. Sure.
Anyway, more donuts.
So many more donuts.
Donuts with their gloves on.
I know.
Is that procedure? Like, aren't they going to get sugar on the evidence?
You know what's also funny about this? So, they're obviously holding that so they don't, so when they touch things, the, fingerprints and stuff. But then Harry grabs the mail with no gloves on.
Yeah.
And hands it to Coop, who has gloves on. Hands it back to Harry. Harry hands it over to Hawk. Hawk, who is wearing gloves, I think. It's just it's so
not a lot of police.
I know you're but I know you're thinking about it. You're thinking about the idea oh yeah, we need to do this because of tampering, but then it's just funny. Yeah.
It is, yeah. You see it in this day and age.
Maybe it's silly...
I even kind of think that the gentle handling of the donuts with the gloves on was kind of a little bit of an inside joke.
I think so. I think it was commentary and joke. Yeah, I think totally.
Yeah, I think was done for a comedic effect.
Yeah. I think there's more of that coming, but anyway.
More comedic effect?
Well, when they go...
had a better balance than most episodes.
When they go off into the woods and, Cooper's wearing his FBI attire, it's just kind of, you guys have done a lot...
gear.
But you guys have done a lot of field work, and all of a sudden, now he wears a jacket that says FBI, and he's wearing, combat boots, and, It's fucking crazy.
Every other place they went, he was a suit was appropriate. Often hiking in the woods, that's not appropriate for a suit. So,
I guess, but
at least Harry wasn't
they've been in the woods
that made him look like a civvy, right?
I don't know. Anyway, it was funny. There's a lot of funniness.
So in addition to donuts, we get more evidence at Jacques' apartment. Cooper sees a photo of a cabin with some very familiar-looking red drapes. They confirm that the P.O. box receiving the correspondence for Ronette's personal ad is registered to Jacques. Correspondence, blah, 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 blah. Oh, it looks like I skipped some notes here. Anyway, they find correspondence for a second ad. They look it up and find an ad that Cooper believes to be Laura, based on the red drapes in the background of the picture. A bill for a 50-gallon drum of heating oil sends them on a hunt for Jacques' cabin in the woods.
Yes.
Cabin in the woods. Fun stories about that one coming up.
Oh, is there?
Oh, no, not stories. Not like trivia stories. There wasn't much for trivia in this episode. We're going to end up talking about the director a little bit because she's done a lot of work in the intervening years. She's pretty
cool. All right.
Pretty prolific. but that's all we've got for trivia wise. There's not much to be mentioned here. So yeah, we're back at the Double R. James and Donna are recruiting Maddie into their amateur detective agency.
Yep.
After she agrees to help them investigate Laura's murder, the camera slides down to the new bad boy in town, Hank, fondling that goddamn domino of his.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that twangy, that desert riff, man.
Okay, so I have comments here.
Yeah, about Hank.
No, before that. So like when they're talking, so when James and Donna and they're talking to Maddie, normal fucking white coffee mugs this time, not the bizarre brown cocktail coffee mugs in the last episode. I am curious on the prop person. Like, anyway, I like.
So maybe the weird mugs you only get when you're seated at the bar.
No, because
And if
those
you're at
weren't
the
at those
table-
weren't at the bar. Those were at
Were they at the table?
they were at the table as well.
Oh, because they were there when they were.
Yeah.
But that was during night. So maybe they're nighttime mugs.
Oh my God, Gabe. Okay. She orders it. Okay, Maddie.
I'm looking to patch up this.
I know
plot,
you're
not
trying
the
to
one about the
you're trying to
gloves.
punch it up a little bit. Maddie orders a cherry Coke, which I'm a lover of cherry Coke. I'm surprised that they didn't just say soda or something like. So obviously they cherry Coke as. The other thing that I find weird, and this is a total offhanded thing, there is a plate of French fries on the table, and there's red ketchup just all over it. And I'm like,
Right? Yeah.
who drizzles red ketchup on their fries? I mean, everyone I
Right,
know
like your
dips their
nachos
fries.
and it's cheese. Yeah, I've never seen anybody
Who
like
just like does that and then eats
Uh-huh.
ketchup? So I'm
a
like,
prop
just
department where
like,
nobody's going to eat those.
I think
French
I think this props department is just messed up. I think they have no continuity. They're just weird. I don't know why I'm so fascinated with the logistic, but I keep noticing the shit. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Now that you mention it, I kind of remember seeing it in more TV shows.
It's just funny to me.
Like, the occasional like Disney Channel show or like a Saved by the Bell or something like that. You would see the plate of fries with the ketchup
Just
all
to
over
like
it.
allude to
like
the fact that ketchup and fries go together, but
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's like in those scenes, nobody is ever actively eating from
never.
that plate of fries.
Never. It's just
It's
such
just
a
there
weird.
for appearances.
It's just such a weird. I don't know. It's a weird
then,
call.
Like in regards to the cherry Coke bit, I think they're still getting away with that because, like the Double R, I think still has like a full-on soda fountain. So like she's getting like the soda fountain cherry Coke concoction with like the cherry phosphate,
like an
instead.
actual, or like getting like a lemon Coke or something.
Right, like the old school one.
I see what you're saying. Though the glass, the glass that the Coke showed up in was in like a kind of a classic Coke glass, even though it didn't have the label on it. Anyway, not important. Yeah, that's all I really had, and then I was just like, he's fondling his domino, and I was just like, okay, we get it. We know who you are.
Yeah, and why the domino? Like, what's the domino backstory?
All I would have said, I'll say this: if they had not just outright outed him at the end of last episode, where they showed the photo, the drawing, and then you show this, then that's important. But the fact that they fucking just outed him right then, it's irrelevant now. Like, we know Hank and the domino were synonymous. It's like we already know.
Right, and they do tend to always zoom in on the domino. We always see the domino before we see Hank's face, which I think is kind of odd.
We know who it is, unless there's someone else who plays Bones.
There's no surprises.
Anyway.
Yeah, but it's Hank. So he catches Norma's attention by literally grabbing her arm after she and Shelley returned from the beauty parlor. He does seem, contrite and very well behaved as he's trying to reestablish his rapport with his wife.
I will say this.
That leads us.
I will say this. It was funny that they go to the beauty parlor and they come out and they're both in like these old lady beehive. Like, I was like,
right.
I know
fashion.
I know the last episode they talked about going out to do this like this, and then like, so when they both show up with these, it's like, oh yeah, last episode they were talking about this, but it's like, what a weird choice, like,
Right?
what?
Yeah. I'll go with the Donna Reed, please.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, and that's I think that's really a throwback to Lynch's obsession with that era.
It's got to be.
You
It's
see
got
a
to
lot
be.
of that in all of
100%.
his work, and Twin Peaks is no exception to that. A lot of that aesthetic makes its way into, especially a lot of the stuff that he likes to keep lighthearted. Like he uses that aesthetic for levity. So you'll see plenty of it.
I was almost curious if like that was even Shelley's hair, if that was some kind of wig, because isn't her hair like long and wavy?
Yeah, it's curly.
So
It looked like just helmets on both of
yeah.
them. I don't think it was real for either of them.
Okay.
I think it was just,
It's such a random.
plop a beehive on them. Because imagine the money they would have had to spend
right?
actually doing that with their real hair.
And then you're stuck with that for a little while.
Yeah, and their real hair looked so much better,
Oh,
Anyway.
and then on top of that, Gabe, I mean, this is to go ahead of I mean, in the end of this episode, but Shelley does not have that hair at the end of the episode when that shit goes down.
Right, because she's out of the shower.
But that's like a fucking perm type of fucking thing. Like that shit would anyway.
Oh, no, as soon as your hair gets wet, it goes back
Well,
to
yeah.
curly.
But wouldn't you want to keep it? Like,
I mean, Norma paid for it. What the hell does she care?
anyway, it's just odd.
You want to go to sleep with the hair up like that?
My grandma used to. I mean, they do that. They have it all protected, and anyway.
Hairspray stains on the pillow. So glow. And then we're off to Briggs Family Therapy. Oh, I'm sure this was your favorite scene.
Oh, Jesus.
With Dr. Jacoby, the major and his wife are just, straight up complaining about Bobby being a moody teenager.
Yeah.
Jacoby decides that the best way to figure this out is to isolate Bobby. Oh, don't worry, he'll isolate everybody else later on. One-on-one time will help get the family back together.
This guy needs to be isolated in a freezer. And then
Jacoby or Bobby?
Well, both, but I mean, okay, so here's my thing. Jacoby being the cool teacher, like, dude, like,
let's cut the
crap, man. I'm cool, man. And then my other comment is,
how do you do, fellow kid?
How can anyone take this fucker, like, literally a military guy and his wife are in here, and the military guy is taking this seriously, which is not a stereotypical view of a military person. They would, but like,
no,
even if you were the stereotypical, I don't know, how can you take this doctor guy serious with the fuck he is wearing?
With the glasses.
The glasses, the fucking outdoor fisherman tie around a turtleneck, and then he's wearing a bowling shirt over the turtleneck. I mean, and then I'm like, is this Lynch and Frost's commentary on psychology? Like, do they just think it's all fucking whack bullshit? I don't know. It's just wild, this dude. I mean, this time the glasses actually looked red and blue, like 3D glasses. Like the color actually looked like 3D glasses color. So it's like, I just feel like this. I don't know what they're commentating on here, but I feel like they think that this whole kind of mental sickness doctor thing is a joke.
That's kind of the impression. You don't see Jacoby as, well, I don't know. I mean, he definitely gets to the bottom of a lot of things that other people aren't getting to the bottom of.
But he's a loon. He's a fucking loon, man. He's like...
And, maybe that's just a calculated act for people to not take him seriously.
Maybe.
Because, like, as we're about to find out, he's pretty insightful. We learn that he's got ulterior motives in mind for isolating Bobby as he needles him about Laura. He eventually cracks through the tough guy shell and learns that she wasn't the angel everybody thought she was. Bobby describes it as the darkness kept trying to pull her down no matter how hard she fought to get back to the light. Jacoby puts it as she wanted to corrupt people because that's how she felt about herself. We learn between sobs from Bobby that Laura was the one who set him on his bad boy path. She forced him to sell drugs so she could have an easy full-time supplier.
Yeah, baby. And
Yeah,
man, can he not cry? Holy
you know,
shit, is he trying?
Now that you see this in HD, you notice that there's no tears.
It is like, it's just so bad. I'm just like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I mean, you know, like I said, I feel like he's a kid. He's really green at this. But like the moment of realization that he has when he kind of finally sits down and like lets Jacoby in, I think that was pretty well done. I think the transition between douchebag, rough Bobby and vulnerable Bobby, as it happened, up until bad fake crying.
I think that's
I'm sure nostalgia is allowing me to be a little more generous with my evaluation than yours is.
Yes, let's chalk it up to that. We'll chalk it up to.
I will ultimately defend Dana Ashbrook in this show because
who do you think wins in a cage match? Forrest Gump or Dr. Jacoby?
Oh, Jacoby, dude, hands down. We haven't plumbed his depths yet.
He's just a wily motherfucker, huh?
I get the feeling Jacoby's like a Vietnam vet. You know, he was in the shit.
I certainly hope
he
so.
was in the shit.
That would explain a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Mahalo to that poor guy. Where were we at? Oh yeah, cops in the woods. Now, this is what I found funny. Is they don't go looking through property records or anything like that to try and find Jacques Renault's cabin.
They just go
wandering in the woods.
Let's go. The first cabin there's a cabin. Let's go check it out.
Yeah.
This is not the cabin we want, but we're going to go in here anyway.
Yeah. Did they just have Hawks like track Jacques from the apartment to the cabin? Well, the tire tracks end here. I think he must have gone on.
There might have been like a montage of like mountains and a bird flying. I don't know. There was a little bit more foresty woods cutaways in this one. Mm-hmm. I noticed.
Yeah, and then I noticed a couple of the. We'll get to those later in the search, but a couple of the lineup angles. We saw one early on where Cooper and then Harry and then Hawk, like all are in the lineup while they look at Flesh World.
Gotcha.
And then later on, we'll get to the other lineup later. But in the middle of their aimless wandering, they think they might have found the cabin they're looking for, but nope. They found the log lady instead.
Oh, log lady.
You would think the locals would know the difference at this point.
You think Hawk would have known log lady's cabin?
Yeah.
Or any of them, really.
Sneaking up on it. Right.
It's almost like they wanted Cooper. It's almost like they wanted Cooper to talk to him. She likes the village like shaman. And it's like, well, before we go, we need you to go here,
Well, I don't get that impression that they like misled him at that point because they do seem confused when they get up there.
No, they don't.
But then once
they're in there, they're like, you should do this. You need to do this.
Yeah. Once they're in, like Cooper's like, yeah, he clearly doesn't want the interruption, but they're like, oh no, you don't say no to the log lady.
So my stupid,
you're kind of like wondering how she would react.
My stupid comment here is, again, I'm going to plug Super Ninja. Log Lady is a lot like a character in my film Super Ninja 2, The Pimp Strikes Back. He's called Manly Chicken. And Manly Chicken is like the kind of shaman, and he tells Super Ninja's future through a deck of magic cards. So it's instead of a log, it's magic cards, but it's exactly.
I'm pretty sure you drew this comparison already.
It's the same. It's like it's not a dining room table; it's a table at Sherry's, but it's literally the same scene. Where anyway, he asks about this, and he's given answers, and anyway, I was just thinking
it's mystical exposition.
It's just like, man.
Which it's not a unique concept.
I need to release the Super Ninja, Snyder cut,
I
I
mean,
guess.
again, I think there's something to be said about the log lady being an exploration of mental illness. They kind of touch on a little bit about her husband meeting the devil and dying in a forest fire, like the day after their wedding, I think Doc Hayward says.
Oh, something like that.
Yeah. So that seems to be like her little break from reality as we know it. So everybody local seems to understand this, and that seems to be why they, allow her peculiarities. She also offers them cookies and such occasional pearls of wisdom, such as the owls can't see us and hear,
Sugar
and
cookies,
sugar, no cake.
no cake.
And if you shut your eyes, you'll burst into flames.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, some pretty offbeat lines from her. After tea, she permits Cooper to interrogate the log to find out what it saw the night Laura Palmer died.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
speaks of the laughter of two men and two women, and then the noise of a third man, and then silence from the owls over the ridge. Pretty ominous stuff. As the cops make their way to Jacques' cabin, the hypothesis is that two of the men were Leo and Jacques. The two women were obviously Laura and Ronette, but there's no ideas about the third man. They reach the cabin and they find a Julie Cruz 45 playing on an endless loop. Cooper refers back to the quote he heard from the little man. There's always music in the air. They also
Oh,
find Waldo, the mynah bird. Sorry, didn't mean to
no,
interrupt.
no, no, no. It's fine. Yeah, Waldo was there. I put for this. I just put because there's a bunch of. Obviously, we're looking at all this uh, uh, evidence. The twine and the blood and the the bird and the drapes. But I just thought to myself, Casa de Porno Shack. That's all I thought this was.
Yeah, pretty obvious what's going on in this cabin out here.
Oh, film.
Yes, yeah, they had the camera set up.
And then the one-eyed Jack.
Yep.
Uh,
So yeah, there's Waldo, there's the twine, there's bloodstains, and then there's the cuckoo clock that ejects the fractured
yes.
poker chip from One-Eyed Jack's.
Yep. Which was weird that it had a cutout, so it said one-eyed axe.
Oh, you don't remember that?
I don't remember that. Did I miss that?
That's the piece of plastic they found in Laura's stomach.
Oh.
Yeah, that's that missing chunk with the J on it.
Okay, but then still, did she bite it? I guess, are we going to learn if she bited it, or if they cut it out and made her eat it? Or?
We don't know yet.
Okay, I remember this now.
I mean, it looks broken.
It does look
It doesn't
broken.
look like it was cut.
So maybe she bit it.
But it's evidence tying her to the location for sure. We're back at the Great Northern to a quick shot of Josie smoking in slow motion in Ben Horn's office, of all places. Before we join the Scandinavian gala that's celebrating the Icelandic investors.
Stereotypical gala, because there's one just wearing some fucking Thor horns and
right, yeah, it's like
it's like what?
Boy, everybody from Scandinavia is a Viking. Ha.
Just like the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Just like the Pacific Northwest loves being seen as like, lodges and Indians.
Well, and I think Gary calls one of the guys my brother in Odin at some point.
He does say Thor.
Yeah. Thor is one of the guys' names.
I guess, but we never see that guy. Really?
No, they refer to him off screen. I think they might talk to him later, like he might actually get a physical appearance. I'm not sure though. But some of them actually get lines later on. Catherine and Pete make an entrance. Jerry creepily obsesses over his Scandinavian love interest. Leland makes his way in, trying his damnedest to be normal.
Oh my god! So I love how he's like Pete's like, go easy on the sauce, and then she just hammers a couple right there in front of him. Just like
fuck you, Pete.
Just
I like how she introduces them as Catherine Martell and spouse.
And then
Just
she's
like
just kind
she
of
might as well have said N+1. What was she
she's
calling him
feeling
at one
randy.
point? Pete the Poodle.
Oh, I don't remember that. Pete. Whoa, Pete. When was that?
I think when she's telling Ben Horn where the ledger is
Oh,
about the Heidi place, she's like, not even Pete the Poodle knows about that one.
gotcha.
So yeah, you kind of wonder why
They're
she
together.
even keeps him around. She obviously doesn't need him. Like what advantage does he serve to her? She doesn't seem like the kind of person who would just keep baggage like that laying around for no reason,
He kind
you
of
know?
seems like a guy that's not with anybody too. Like generally, he's just like this weird kind of old man. Like,
Yeah,
why
like
is
the
he
only
even
person
with
we've
her?
seen be sneaky for so far is Josie.
But he's
Like
always
he tried
around.
to help her out a little bit,
It's
but
just
yeah,
it's a weird relationship because I don't like they. Is it because no? I mean, it just
yeah,
makes no sense.
Pete's somebody we don't really understand
Ever,
what drives him yet.
ever.
I don't know that we ever do. Yeah. Um, maybe a little bit more, but I don't want to get too far ahead of that.
Okay.
That's a ways
Okay.
off.
Let's get to Audrey sneaking around.
Oh
Audrey and
yes,
her
and her Nancy Drew.
well, actually, I guess first, fucking what's her name spills
Oh
champagne on.
yeah. After he finishes telling that joke that we thought we were never going to hear the punchline to,
We
so we spoiled that for you, everybody. Sorry.
didn't help. Didn't
Yeah,
make it. Didn't
it
really
still wasn't a
matter.
very good joke, unless you're a business investor, I guess.
I don't even think it's funny
They
then.
seem to think it was funny. So yeah, Catherine rudely gets Ben Horn's attention with some champagne on the stew in order to start a conversation.
So
Audrey
weird.
sees it happen and follows her on her way into that Nancy Drew shit. That was kind of cool how she I do want to know the backstory of how she found this hidden panel.
But this is not the first time. This is.
Well, this is a different area
I know,
entirely,
but
isn't it?
isn't it in the lot? No, I thought she has all. I thought there's a secret passage in all the lot. I thought the other one was in the lodge.
Well, this one is to Ben's office.
Right, but I just figured
Maybe it's the same one, but the last one it
it
was
can be
like
a
before while they were getting ready for the funeral, so I thought it was like in their like
well.
in the living
Well, that's
quarters.
fine. I'm just my understanding is that she just has she's like Batman. She has a maze already built in this place where she just sneaks
Right.
about. Like this is just another one. So like
Yeah,
she has.
yeah,
That's
there's
my
multiple
understanding.
ones.
Like so
Yeah,
it's like
mine too.
so. I guess my question here, as we go into this, she
I
must
just
have
want to know
known.
how she discovered these.
No, I don't really care about that.
Like, was there
No,
like a Dick Halloran guy who showed her where all the weird places are?
I think she was I'm gonna if I'm gonna go an origin story, I'm gonna guess that when she was a kid, she came upon them and she used to play in them, and that's just whatever. That's her thing. My
She discovered
curiosity,
them by accident.
my curiosity is really like, she must already know that her dad's cheating.
Yeah, because she already knows about One-Eyed Jacks.
So like,
Oh, well, I don't know if she knows that
I don't
connection.
right, but I feel like if I have to assume that a lot of the shit that we are privy to, she must know. But I feel like the way this plays out until the end, it's her first time learning it, and so I'm a little.
I mean, I think it's her first time learning about the conspiracy to burn down the mill.
Right.
Like, she probably knows that Ben has been cheating with Catherine, but I don't think she knows about the whole insurance fraud, frame Josie, steal her land bit.
Because I guess I just question why she's. I mean, you can talk more about this, but like obviously this happens, and there's like an emotional thing, and then she's crying too when everyone's weird sad dancing. And I'm curious, like, why is she so sad? And that's what I don't quite understand.
That's empathy in that
You
moment.
think so?
Yeah. That's and you don't often see that out of Audrey.
But I don't know if that's what
But
that
I
is.
think
You think that's
that's
what
a
that
rare
is?
moment. Yeah, I think that's just her pitying Leland because he is so clearly in distress and so clearly needs help, and everybody around him is just pretending like everything's fine and like, no, no, he's not sobbing, he's just dancing. Let's all dance. Like, yeah, that's pity that drives her to that. She just feels awful that
Okay.
this poor man is, essentially being mocked by an entire crowd of people, and nobody realizes it except for her.
Okay.
But yeah, that's not this part of the episode yet.
Well, it's
We
close.
well,
It's
we're
very
we're pretty
close.
close. Yeah, it's close enough.
But yeah, so
Oh,
she's
actually,
sneaking.
yeah, it's right
She's
next to it.
sneaking around, and she learns from her dad and what Catherine
Right.
that
Yeah, and then we cut right to Jerry making a speech, and that's when the music just randomly starts playing for no other reason than to, create Leland's psychotic break.
yeah, right, like it's so random. It's just so like, and then he just starts. It's and
Yeah,
what
and
is the
so
song? Is the song meaningful? Because I didn't catch if the song is important.
I don't, I forget if it's a specific tune or not. It just seems to be like any swing music will set him off
Okay.
to me. I don't know if it's a specific song. I'd have to try and identify that with a little more research. Um, but
It's
so yeah,
creepy. It's creepy how they all like
it's
start.
compassion. Yeah, I really think it's compassion that drives Audrey to her tears in that scene.
But then it's creepy how like everyone dancing it starts like because he's like sad, so he's like trying to cover his,
Yeah,
and then everyone else is doing the dance as if it's
well, that's
part of the.
because Catherine
Yeah,
starts
I know
doing
because
it,
Catherine starts doing that shit. And
try
it's
and
just like
misdirect
it's
everybody.
so fucking hokey,
It's
dude.
it is again. It's one of those scenes, another one of those scenes with Leland that it's like alternately funny and pathetic and sad, like all at the same time. It just kind of cycles through all of those emotions as you realize everything that's happening at that same time.
It's really bizarre. It's a bizarre choice.
It
Um.
is,
Uh.
but you get to see everybody's real self in that moment, I think.
I mean, you would think like a real person would just want they would just walk him out. Just hey, come sit down, hang out, chill out.
Yeah, just kind of, or like, kind of dance him out the door or something like that.
It's just a weird. It's. I was just like, what the fuck, sad dancing?
Yep. Uh-oh, my buddy had a little bit too much to drink. Well, I better get him off the bed. Pretty easy way to get rid of that, but we got a story to tell here.
The other thing that's interesting, and this kind of comes up when the scenes is coming up, but like a lot of smoking I noticed in this episode. A lot of
A
smoking.
lot of smoking in this series in general,
I know, but like this scene, I
and that's
really
just
noticed it. This one is like, oh, everyone's just fucking going, just fucking going for it. But
yeah, yeah. And again, that's '90s TV. You saw it all the time in NYPD Blue as well. Um,
you saw it
a
back
lot
in
of
the
the doctor
comics
shows at
when
that point,
Wolverine could still smoke a cigar in the comic book.
right? Yeah. It wasn't necessarily encouraged, but it was. I think it was an accurate reflection of how
Before
common smokers were in society
before fucking
at that time,
truth.com.
right?
Anyway.
Before we all got to see pictures of diseased lungs, and not. I'm happy I quit, but anyway, yeah, we're getting off topic here.
No, we're not. It's smoking.
Oh yeah, because yeah, right. My next note is more smoking Josie.
Yep.
It's bad for you, kids. But then we cut quick to the Palmer household where Maddie is sneaking downstairs to use the telephone. Another dated concept. She calls Donna to let her know that she found a cassette tape in one of Laura's favorite hiding spots. Bring a tape recorder.
I like how it's bring a tape recorder, not a tape player.
Right? Yeah.
All right.
We're
Whatever.
going to totally tape over it.
Yeah, baby. Oh.
We've got songs to record.
It's also funny. It's like it's like, and then we do the Laura to Laura basically because you have Maddie with, and then she leaves, and then you rack focus onto the portrait of Laura, and it's so weird.
Right. Wonder where we're going with that. And then we return to the Great Northern to find out that Josie and Ben have been in cahoots this whole time. Ben is double crossing Catherine.
He's kind of loving on her a little bit.
The phony ledger to Josie. Yeah, you wonder. I mean, Ben seems to be like that with pretty much any woman that he wants something from. So I don't know how much of it is him just schmoozing or if they actually have a sexual relationship. Don't know that we get a lot of detail
In the
involved on
scene,
that.
I don't trust Josie at all, though. She
Like, you
seems a
think
little.
Josie's playing Ben somehow?
I mean, I could see her fucking him to play him. She seems kind of naughty and not up to no good. The way she acts that's in that scene, she doesn't.
Not quite as vulnerable as you might have thought she was in
She's
those first
not
few
like how she
episodes.
usually is.
Yeah,
With
it's a
everyone
different
else,
Josie that
it's
you
a
see in
very.
that
It's just
room.
like I would believe that she's a part of this and maybe fucking him just to get what she wants.
Hmm.
So, which
So what is it
sucks
that
for
she does
Harry,
want?
but
Yeah, because why is she playing Harry? What does she want from Harry?
yeah. Well, obviously to
What are Josie's motivations
keep
right now?
him keep the popo off her back.
Yeah, well, she
Mm,
performs insurance fraud.
yes.
Maybe. Who knows? We're still not sure where we're going with this.
No, we aren't.
Seems like that mill is doomed, though, somehow, one way or another.
One way.
And yeah, we get indications of that as Leo returns home pretty late. He's loading up some big gallons of gas while uh, an immediate beatdown turns up from Hank.
I wouldn't have known it was Hank. I mean, I thought if there had been some kind of domino just kind of like
Right?
jingling, I
Yeah.
would have known it
Why
was
didn't
no.
we see a domino hanging from his fist before he threw the punch?
Right?
But yeah, apparently Leo is muscling in on Hank's cocaine business while he's locked up.
Way to
Hank's
go.
not too pleased about that and lets him know. But the night's just going to get worse for Leo. Bloodied and battered, he pushes his way into the house, shoves down Shelly.
No, 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 no,
She's
no, no,
decided,
no, no, no. He says, "Get me a beer.
"Give me a beer!
Give me a beer." It's like,
Give me a beer!"
"Give me a beer." It's like, what? Get your own fucking beer, dude.
Yeah,
Why
doesn't
the
matter. I'm
fuck?
bleeding. Give me a beer. Make me a sandwich. Wash my bloody
How
shirt.
is someone else getting you a beer gonna help you drink that fuck? I mean, it's wild. Leo, get fucked. Anyway. Oh, and he does.
Oh, and he does. Yep, Shelly decides that she's finally had enough of his bullshit, and she whips out the gun and pulls the trigger on that abusive bastard.
And then drops it quickly and cries. It's like,
Yep.
what?
Dude, you know what that scene reminded me of? Even back then, when I was young and the first time I saw it, the sound he makes.
It's like, go! And he's just like,
No, once she shoots him, it's the noise from Young Frankenstein, dude.
oh man.
It's the noise the monster makes in Young Frankenstein when he's scared of fire or whatever.
And then I know that you already know where he was shot, but like me, they don't show where he's like it just goes up to the light fixture
We
and
get the swinging lamp and crashing noises, and
I'm
we're
guessing
not entirely sure what the result of
I'm
that
guessing
is.
he fled.
You're guessing he managed to
like flee.
flee.
That's
Okay.
what I'm guessing. But I mean, I don't know. Like
That's kind of the impression the scene leaves you with.
I'm guessing it maimed his face, I'm hoping.
Well, his face was already maimed. Thanks, Hank.
I mean,
We all wanted to see Leo get punched in the face.
but well, I mean, David Lynch is kind of a grotesque person. If the person's going to survive, he's got to have kind of a weird like if he were just to shoot him in the shoulder or seems not that important. I don't know.
Well,
I guess we'll find out.
or it could just be building to something bigger.
Or he dies.
Or he's dead.
Well, he's not dead, but he dies. He's gonna bleed out in the next episode.
Oh yeah, he's just laying there bleeding on the floor when we open on the next episode.
But I did think
We'll
it was
just have
funny.
to tune in next week to see.
She was so powerful. She shot him, and then she's like, drops the gun and cries, holds her eyes.
Yeah.
It's like, what? You just
At least she had the guts to pull the trigger.
anyway.
We're all proud of you, Shelly. Way to go.
I don't know, Shelly. Oh, I did write this. I forgot to read this. Shelly has the worst taste in boys, not men, boys.
Boys.
Because she has Leo and now she has Bobby, and it's like, I don't know, Shelly. I mean, I want to support you, But at least my girl Audrey has good taste in men.
Mm,
She,
I will agree with you there.
someone who has their shit together.
Yeah,
Shelly, as much as attractive as you are, you're just not very smart. Maybe you should have graduated high school. Uh,
she didn't
I
graduate high
know, but
school.
maybe when they were talking about how she dropped out of 11th grade,
Oh,
perhaps she should have graduated and not married Leo. Anyway,
well, we get the impression that she might not have had good examples leading her
you know what's
early
funny?
in her life.
Most Pacific Northwest women that don't graduate high school and it's because they get knocked up. Shelly did not get knocked up.
No,
She must have
she
got
just married
she got
an
knocked out.
abusive. Oh,
Oh, wah, wah.
oof.
I'm here every night, ladies and gentlemen.
Is should write from Matt Rife.
Oh,
Um,
those are my best jokes. What are you talking about? All right.
anyway,
Sad
we're
dancing.
almost
Everyone's
wrapped up
smoking.
here.
Oh, and then this is the weird
Yep,
shit.
bang bang, and then we're headed back to the Great Northern as Cooper wraps up his day. A long and exhausting day at that, but man, those Icelandic assholes still aren't done. They're singing, and Cooper's pissed again.
But he won't be for much longer.
But, well, he's on the alert as he finds an intruder in his darkened room. He draws his gun and demands the intruder turn on the lights. And who does it turn out to be but Audrey, naked in his bed?
It's okay, folks. She's
Begging.
18.
She's 18. We established this.
Audrey is making moves, man. She is
Begging.
making.
She is flat out begging him.
So I guess, and I guess we're meant to believe that her emotional state is broken, and that's why she found her way into the bed.
She did. She was awfully upset after seeing Leland. I think that
I still find that all
might be
bullshit.
driving.
I still find that all bullshit.
What would you think? You
I
think
just
she's
think
just
she's
being
just-
flat out manipulative here?
Yeah, I think she's just playing. She's just going for it. I feel like personally the scene where she's crying because of Leland, I get it. I just don't think she would have broken down like that. Her character, I think she would have felt
that yet.
I agree that she'd feel empathy for him because even though she had certain feelings for Laura,
Mm-hmm.
I think she would have seen it. But I don't.
And yet,
I just think
keep in
that's
mind
not.
that she's known Leland her whole life too.
Sure,
Leland's
that's-
been
sure.
her dad's attorney as long as she can remember, so
I
she
get-
knew him growing up.
I get it.
I think that adds to the compassion that she would have for this man.
But I just don't feel like that's the kind of compassion I would have portrayed. Like it's a really kind of a weird breakdown scene and not very good. And so I would just like, I do buy this whole bed thing in Cooper's thing because she's just trying to make. She's really trying to make things happen. Everyone else talks about trying to figure out who did this to Laura or trying to figure out this. She's like one of the few characters has a lot of real agency and is trying to make shit happen. She wants to be here. She wants to do this. I don't know.
She seems to be getting a lot of the information that other people aren't, and that's because she's being proactive about it. But she also knows how to put herself in the right place at the right time.
My concern is that they're going to make her to be the villain here. That's my concern about this character, but I don't want.
They're going to make Audrey a villain?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'll go ahead and be a spoiler in that you're not going to see that. But yeah, Audrey is not going to turn out to be a secretly bad person in any way, shape, or form.
I could see how in the original, when you watched this way back in the day, you would have thought that she was being a villain. Perhaps.
In the pilot, yeah.
No, but
in the pilot, they make her a lot more ambiguous as to what drives her.
No, but like 30 years ago,
she's more mischievous.
In the 30 years ago kind of time period when you were a person watching this for the first time in the 90s or whatever, like you could see that type of character. Oh man, she's such a bitch and she's such a this. She's evil and like, but she's kind of the bad girl, but she's like the good guy, right? Kinda, a little bit. I don't know. I hope
she's one of those cops that doesn't play by the rules, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but she gets results.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, I mean,
I enjoyed her in this immensely.
yeah, this is definitely a standout episode for Sherilyn Fenn in more ways than one. But anyway, that's where we roll the credits, is on Audrey's seductive tendencies. And so this week's episode aired
I will say this. I
on.
will say this, Gabe. This is the most excited I am to see another episode because I'm curious how this resolves itself. I'm curious what
This is
Coop
a hell of
does.
a cliffhanger, isn't it?
It's just a more fun cliffhanger,
Yeah,
And I hope there's like a I don't know. You've seen it a million times, but I just hope there's some kind of
I
like
have.
a lot of flirty, pedantic funniness. I don't know. There probably won't be. It'd probably just wrap it up in a weird way, but I would hope that there would be some just kind of engaging conversation. But we're probably not going to get that. But that's what I would do. That's what as a writer, I would play into that strength of the show. Anyway, don't spoil it
Well,
for me.
I'm absolutely not going to spoil it for you. I'll just tell you, you won't have to wait long to get the answer to your question.
Cool. I,
Yeah. So anyway, writer's credit on this episode went solely to Mark Frost.
mm-hmm.
The director on the episode was Leslie Linka Glatter, who this was very early in her career. Again, Lynch hiring female directors on a primetime television show.
What? Women?
In the 90s, directing?
Who?
I mean,
can they do that?
they can, and they will. Girl power. Oh, where do you find the all filmography on this mobile app? Here we go.
I feel emasculated
So
like
anyway,
Shakira's sons.
Shakira's sons. Those poor, poor, fragile men, childs. So yeah, Twin Peaks was one of her earlier credits. She worked a little bit more with Lynch on the Air series. I think we talked a little bit about that. But then she pretty much delved straight into TV drama, NYPD Blue, Murder One, Freaks and Geeks.
Oh,
Even
wow.
had a couple episodes on that. Law and Order here and there. The OC, Grey's Anatomy, West Wing, The Closer, Gilmore Girls, Heartland, Heroes, ER,
All
Weeds, Mentalist, House, Good Wife, Mad Men, Lie to Me, Pretty Little Liars,
any
True
films?
Blood. No.
No films.
No films that I am seeing. She has been pretty much exclusive TV drama. Looks like she did earn a couple of Emmy nominations, mainly for her work on Homeland and Mad Men.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, she gets around. She's done some pretty amazing work from the looks of it.
Cool.
I did like a lot of the transitions and the camera angles she used in this episode. We were talking about the whole lineup bit earlier. We had the 3-man lineup, and then we had the 4-man lineup right at the discovery of the cabin, where Doc Hayward lines up right at the end there, looking all serious. That almost kind of would have been funny if they hadn't have, been able to play it off so well. But that's it seemed hokey in the moment almost, but then it also, how often are you able to get 4 people's faces on screen at the same time and get their reactions to the same event?
They do it again
in a way that's unique.
Inside the first cabin. When they go into Log Lady's cabin, the dudes are all smushed in the entryway, and Cooper's in the back, and he's kind of dimly lit, and it's kind of funny. But they're all perfectly kind of placed as they're kind of dealing with her talking about cookies and shit, and they all kind of slowly break off one at a time to the table.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. I mean, there was some good blocking involved that kept things interesting. I really did. I like the transition in the Double R where they segue right from James, Donna, and Maddie to Hank's table, and just that seamless transition
right.
from that one scene to the next.
Right.
I thought that was excellently done.
Is this like her first credit? This show?
Let me go back. There was an earlier one for a show I didn't recognize.
Okay. But this is like pretty much one of her first things.
Yeah, basically.
Because it is also. I mean, we're complimenting it,
Oh,
but it.
she did 3 episodes of Amazing Stories.
Oh, interesting.
Boy, that brings back some memories. I remember seeing a few of those. And then a TV show called Brewster Place. She's credited for 1 episode of that TV series that ran for looks like 1 season because it's only credited for 1990.
Brewster.
Brewster
Is
Place.
that like a sequel to the other show, Brewster's?
Let me
Uh,
see here. A spin-off of the
Brewster's
1989
Millions.
miniseries The Women of Brewster
Oh,
Place,
Brewster. Okay.
which was it's Oprah.
Oprah.
Oprah was in this show.
Oprah. Anyway,
Anyway,
uh,
yeah,
I
so
mean, it's
not
it's
relevant.
it's some pretty straightforward directing. Like it's not anything crazy out of the ordinary. There's some good tracking shots. There's the tracking shot with Ed and
Oh,
Norma. Um,
okay, here we go.
okay.
Here's a little bit of backstory on Ms. Glatter. It says here she began her directing career through the American Film Institute's directing workshop for women.
Mm-hmm.
So she is an AFI graduate. Her short film, Tales of Meeting and Parting, from 1985, was nominated for an Academy Award.
Oh, nice.
And it did win numerous awards and festivals throughout the country.
But not the
Okay, so she
Academy
did
Award.
do a feature film.
Oh, she did.
It was called. It was a coming of age comedy called Now and Then with Demi Moore, Melanie Griffith, Rosie O'Donnell, and Christina Ricci.
Oh,
I kind of
wow.
remember commercials for this
Now
vaguely.
and then.
Yeah, so kind of like Stand by Me for women, if I remember it right. Although you never see the grown-up boys in Stand by Me all interacting together, do you?
I don't know if
And
I've ever heard
then
of this movie.
okay, she also did a romantic period drama called The Proposition with Kenneth Branagh, Madeline Stowe, and William Hurt.
Oh, she's done. She directed or just shot.
Uh, Directed.
Oh wow, really?
Yep. And then she directed an HBO film called State of an Emergency, which received a Cable Ace nomination for Best Picture.
No.
So
The
yeah,
the
she's
proposition.
The Proposition. Yes, 1998.
No, not the West. Not the. There's gotta be something else. What is that? What is that film when you click on it?
It says Kenneth Branagh. I
Kenneth.
mean,
Oh, Kenneth Branagh. Okay. There's other films called The Proposition. So like I was just like,
there probably are.
no. There's the one that is The Proposition that we've all seen is the Australian film with Guy Pearce, the fucking hardcore western.
I can't
Oh,
say I've seen either one of them, so I've got
okay.
no frame of reference here.
Oh well, there's a pretty brutal western called The Proposition with Guy Pearce, and I was like, no way.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't think that was her. Unless like Guy Pearce is like, was that 98?
When is The Proposition? No, it's 2005.
Yeah, no. Okay. Longing to have a baby, a sterile 1930s Bostonian hires a man to impregnate his wife. Don't think so.
Kenneth.
Robert Loggia,
Oh, yeah.
NPH.
Oh,
Woo.
okay. I see. Okay. Is this a foreign film? No.
No,
Well,
he was doing
everything that comes up is like it's like La Pro. Like, okay, I found it.
La Proposition.
Yeah, it is La Proposition. Oh, Madeline Stowe, William Hurt. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a period piece. Yeah. Okay, 1998. I've never heard of this movie, but
Me
that's
neither.
cool. There's some good actors in that
But
one.
anyway,
That's
yeah.
some good
So
That's
clearly, this lady has some serious directing chops, and we saw her flex those here today. I feel like those complaints that we had in earlier episodes about, feeling like a stage production. I really don't feel like we had any of those to apply to this episode at all. This definitely felt,
except maybe the gazebo scene is pretty bad.
yeah, and maybe Bobby in therapy. But those are strictly acting
Actually, I
criticisms.
had no issue with the actual Bobby in therapy scene itself, like the way it was
Just as acting
blocked
in it.
and the way they kind of he was up and down and around and on the chair. Like Jacoby got out of his chair and then Bobby went into his chair and crying. Like I thought that kind of
Right.
turn
So
of all
yeah.
that perfectly orchestrated. That is just let down by the sheer garbage acting that this show is unfortunately not her fault, I guess, because they have to adhere to what Lynch and Frost want. But oh my god, like it's weird. I'm curious what the director notes are on this show because
like what the directors tell the actors.
I think Young and the Restless is better acting, like as a soap opera, better acting than
Yeah, I do have to, I want to check who the casting director was here exactly.
no, but just like, but they're here's the thing, they're not trying to fix the acting. They want the acting to be this way on purpose. I have to believe that they want it to be on purpose because it's just so. What else was out at this time?
Like
Drama
the
wise,
main competition drama wise.
yeah,
I think NYPD Blue might have made its launch at this point.
that show's fucking brilliant. That acting is great. That's
Yeah,
some
it
great
is.
acting.
I mean, that's Steven Bochco.
But that doesn't. I mean, I,
But it might have had a bigger budget than Twin Peaks had, you know.
but that shouldn't matter. That's not. That shouldn't matter in the sense that like I'm asking you to act as a individual to be like I feel like whatever they shot in the pilot, they decided to keep those characters all the same. None of the characters have
You don't
changed. You know what I
you don't
mean?
see any differences in like direction toward actors between the directors we've seen in this episode
No, I feel
or
like
in
all
these
the
episodes.
actors. I feel like all the actors are attuned to the style of their character, and it has not really changed. We are seeing direct. I think directing wise, as far as camera lens and how shots are constructed, we're seeing a little bit flavor technically from a production standpoint, but from an
Mm-hmm.
acting standpoint, the directing, it's like there seems like there's a clear like rule on how these people are supposed to act, and it has not changed from
Well, and you
Lynch's
also kind of
initial.
wonder, like, how much do these character or do these actors know about the characters that the audience doesn't know at this point? Like, do they only get scripts, or do Lynch and Frost give them like some background? Do they give them an idea of what's ahead for them? Because I get the feeling that in a lot of cases, these actors are flying blind here, as
Maybe,
far as like what the long term plans are.
and maybe a lot of it is they don't have a lot of money and they can't do multiple takes, so they get it right and they're done. But it's just
Right.
like, whew, like I don't know, like Harry the sheriff, pretty
Mm-hmm.
bland. He's playing it
Pretty
really
bland.
safe. He's not doing anything
I
really out.
mean, and that
He
really
plays
is just kind of his job
and
at
that's
this
fine.
point.
And that's fine. And he's doing a perfectly fine job. He's not doing anything out of the ordinary. He's like, whatever. Cooper, if anyone's getting the most acting probably notes, is probably Coop, but he does a pretty good job of being pretty consistent through the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everyone else is just like shooting from the hip. Like we're just gonna go. Maybe they're not getting direction
Yeah.
at all, and they're just like, except for Audrey. Audrey, like maybe she's not, but she has decided to play this as if she's up for an Oscar, like because she is by far, in my
Well, and
opinion,
I
the
mean,
best acted character in this whole show. I mean,
yeah,
Shelley's
there's
pretty good.
definitely.
Shelley's pretty good depending on who she's acting against. She can be kind of garbage with certain people, and she can be good. Like she's really good in the Norma scenes.
Mm,
And she's good with Bobby only because she only has to be kind of a object with Bobby. When she's with Leo, it's not very good. I don't know. There's a lot of, but I guess Lynch has never really been an actor's director. He's more of a
no,
he's more of a stylistic director.
yeah,
So
Yeah, he's not someone that like he leaves a lot of that up to the actor.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So and I don't know. I definitely feel like there's some. I don't know. I'm not as harsh in my assessment of Bobby as you are.
really?
Um,
What?
yeah, I don't. I think there's definitely worse acting that I've seen in my life. At
Okay,
least
but
he's making an
in this
effort.
show, if you were gonna rate the worst to best,
Hmm.
where's Bobby sit?
Toward toward the bottom for the hammy factor. But as you know, as far as like him understanding the nuances of his character, I think he does pretty well.
I would say Leo's gotten better,
Leo's gotten
or
better.
whoever plays Leo, he's gotten better. I think Bobby's gotten. Bobby is like sadistically, like just I don't know. It's just it's so over the top.
Well, I mean, we've seen a breakthrough for Bobby this week, so we might see different versions of him going forward at this point.
I guess we'll see. All right.
I
Well,
guess we'll see.
what else do we have? We have trivia. We have no trivia.
Uh, a few trivia
Oh,
notes.
we do.
Reportedly, there was one scene that was deleted in the early shooting stages. It was an Audrey flashback that implied that her pushing her younger brother Johnny down the stairs at some point in his youth might have resulted in his current condition. This was removed from the script. This never appeared in the show, never alluded to. But, you know, maybe leans more toward that version of Audrey that you were talking about that we kind of got earlier in the pilot, where she maybe necessarily wasn't as good as she's coming across in these later episodes. That maybe she was just kind of sociopathic and that her sole motivation right now is to just get what she wants, and she wants Cooper.
I do feel like her character did like while she is still acting like at the same quality, her character has changed a little bit because like that kind of weird, just like randomly tipping the coffee over to piss off the other person. It's like she's not really
Mm-hmm.
like she's a little more grown up now. She's
Yeah,
like a little more like
arbitrarily
just bizarre.
arbitrarily ruining her dad's business deals for no
Right.
particular reason. Yeah,
Right. Like she's a little more like she's a bit more calculated now, and I think
yeah. She's not just out to create chaos at this
right.
point.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, we're seeing progression in certain characters that get a fair amount of attention. But yeah, other characters definitely don't get that same level of attention. I agree.
But most of the characters are on a path. If you look at the shows and the show's characters, even Cooper, they're all pretty on the path of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're all just kind
Yeah.
of doing what they're there to do in the show. It does feel like Audrey's the only character that's, I don't know, she's looking for something to do. Like she's
Right, like she's actively participating in her own fate at this
right.
point,
Like no one else.
as
Like
opposed to just letting the world happen around her.
Cooper's fun and cool, but he's like that in every episode. You know, he's always doing the same thing. He hasn't like gone off and like, I don't know. He's not
Right,
instigating
we
anything.
only ever, yeah, and we only ever see Cooper at work.
Right.
Like we never see Cooper off the clock. Cooper is always like
On the clock.
in the role of an FBI agent.
And
He
he's
is
smart
never
and he does it, and that's what we expect from him. And
Mhm.
so like that is kind of like not that interesting. It's fun to watch him, but it's not that, because you know he's always going to be the guy that does it. Whereas Audrey, we don't know what she's like. I wasn't expecting Audrey to be naked in his bed at the end of this episode. You know,
No, that's a strategy you didn't see coming.
You didn't like, especially, you know, and I should have seen it coming because the the foreshadowing is, oh, I'm 18. Yes, we should have
Right?
known that
Yeah.
they were gonna
So something's
that they
gonna
were gonna
happen.
put her in a sexual position with Coop because she's legal age. You know, we should. It's not like she's like, I'm 16. Well, they're not gonna put a 16-year-old naked in his bed. You know, I should have seen that
Right,
coming,
yeah.
but I didn't.
Even in the 90s.
Right,
That's a bridge
you
too
know.
far.
So it's just hey, it's okay. She's 18. They can flirt. And
Mhm.
now, it's okay for him to be attracted to her because she's 18. It's kind of wild, but that's what this episode did. This made, okay for everyone to lust after Audrey, basically.
Mhm.
Anywho, some funny shit.
Anywho, yeah. But there's plenty of women that are
No, I know.
they're worthy of attention in Twin Peaks. Like I said, the more I watch it in my older age, the more I'm attracted to Norma. So
Well, yeah, but Norma's attractive. Norma's a great character. But she
absolutely,
doesn't have a lot of agency. I mean, I guess the biggest thing is that she did the fact that she called it off. I mean, like Ed's trying to play both
right? Yeah,
fields here, and she's
as
like, "Well,
being wishy-washy.
I don't want to do that." So at least she has a little bit of gumshoe. I'm curious if she has
Well,
the
he says
cojones,
not for a while,
right? But
is
I'm
what she
curious
tells
if
me.
she
Call
has,
me, but not for a while.
but I'm curious if she has the cojones to drop Hank. Like, I mean, it sounds, Hank's gonna try and work his way back into her heart. She's given him a place to work. I'm curious, are we gonna get a lot more of that? Like, do I really want that? I mean, I don't really care for Hank that much right now. Is he gonna
Well,
become?
nobody does. I mean, and how much of how much of Norma's decision-making process is out of fear of Hank?
Mm-hmm.
Because we still don't know a lot about the dynamics of their relationship before he got locked up.
Right,
I
100%.
mean, now Hank's crime wasn't related to, the crime that Leo took over for him while he was away. As far as we know, he wasn't being punished for that at all.
Right.
Does Norma know about him being a cocaine runner? Does, how much of this, and is he going to get back into it? Like,
Shouldn't
what is he
everybody know
expecting of
what
Leo
everyone
going
does in
forward?
a small town, though, Gabe?
I mean,
No,
people have secrets, even in the smallest of towns.
no, I think Norma's a great character, and I think Norma is very attractive. I just don't know if if the show's ever going to give her the agency to be more. And I guess I'm obviously have to watch the show to find out. Um, it'd be great if they did. I don't know.
You know,
I would hope the show makes Shelley more intelligent. Like I don't know. I would hope that. Though I could see the show killing her off too. I don't know.
well, I'm not going to play Ghost of Twin Peaks Future at this point,
I
but you're
know.
asking a lot of great questions.
All right. Well, that's what
And I will
I'm
tell you
here,
that
right?
some of your great questions might eventually get answered.
Well,
Maybe.
that's what I'm here for,
We'll
right?
see.
All
Yeah,
the other people listening along who are hopefully playing along at home, who have the same
right.
questions.
And then all the people like me who are struggling so hard to have these discussions without spoiling it for you.
That's great.
Because there are some great twists and turns coming, and there are some not so great twists and turns coming that are going to be worthy of mockery, but
Oh,
we'll mock them as we come to them.
sounds fun. Sounds fun.
So just the last little bit of trivia is the Nielsen's. This episode aired on May 10th, 1990, just a month shy of 34 years ago to this very day.
Wow.
We had 17.4 million people viewing this episode. That's a household rating of 11.9. The episode ranked third, or excuse me, those were last week's numbers. This week we got 17.3 with an 11.5, 17.3 million with 11.5 household rating, but that was still good enough for 38th for the week.
Was the show
Probably behind
starting to
Cheers
take
again.
off, or was it still kind of just?
At this point, the ratings are still dipping. This is the second lowest rating that they've posted so far in
When
the
is
series.
kind of the cult? Like, when does the people like start? Like, I don't know when. When does this become a show that people are talking about? Is it way after the show's over, or is there a movement?
I think
During.
the first season cliffhanger helped keep it on people's brains a lot. A lot of it is just water cooler talk because you didn't get murder mysteries. So that's the reason why people kept tuning in was, they wanted to know who killed Laura.
Gotcha.
So I would say things kind of built to a crescendo there. And then, spoiler alert, they do reveal the killer at some point. Once the killer was revealed, I think people would argue is when the show started to diminish in quality. Um, it's not necessarily the stuff that happens in the town that really garnered people's attention, although there's a lot of that. It's the stuff that happens out of town,
Gotcha.
like the Red Room, which we'd see more of that later on. And honestly, it's I'm surprised at how little of it we've seen so far in
Oh,
the
really?
recording of this, because the way I remember it, it played a much bigger role in these early episodes. Um, so we will be seeing more of that later on, and I really think that's a big part of where the hook lies, is just the weirdness of those scenes.
This is the 6th episode.
Um,
What do we have left? Like
there are 2 episodes left in the
in
first
this
season.
season. So we're like literally
Yeah.
2 episodes away from like so the season finale of this first season. Does it give
Mhm.
us I don't know what I'm looking for. I mean, I'm clearly not as a viewer. If I were watching it for the first time, not knowing anything about this, I wouldn't expect them to give me the murderer right away, right? So like,
So
what am I? What is the cliffhanger, or what is the information they give us that makes it be like? Not, I'm not asking you to actually give it, but like, does it give us something meaty that we were really interested in knowing? I guess is what I'm just like. I don't understand what it would really give us. Like as I watch
the
it, I'm like,
cliffhanger.
yeah, what's the does it really
Well,
does it really shift some people around in our perspective, or is it just like I don't
see,
know? It's
now
a
I would
weird question.
argue,
It's a weird question.
like in a show like this, and in this day and age, I don't think it would be out of line to expect that the character who is the killer would be revealed at the season finale, not necessarily caught, but revealed.
You think
And
so?
then, so, well, I could see a play for that. I could see a story structure where you reveal that killer at the end of that season, and that's the cliffhanger, is knowing this person is the killer. And then all of season 2 is about, are they going to catch this person?
But they don't
That's
do
not.
that with this.
Do you want me to spoil the answer to
No,
that
no, no,
question
no,
for
no,
you or
no.
not?
Well, you say they reveal the murderer at some point, but I don't. I
They
think you said
do.
they don't do it in this season. They do it in the next season, right?
I may have said
Uh,
that already.
all right.
I don't
Let's
know if I
let's
want to revisit
let's
that
not let's not
to in order to
revisit.
keep things fresh.
Let's not worry. How many
And
episodes are in season 2?
there are a full 22
So it's a
episodes
full
in season 2.
22. All right.
It's a full season.
I've heard disparaging things on season 2. Some people say it's pretty awful.
A
Some
lot
people
of it
say
is.
it's awesome, and then it's awful. Like the first half is really good, and then it gets garbagey.
Yeah.
Because there's other people that I'm talking to just on the side that I was arguing
Mhm.
that now that Twin Peaks is something I'm watching. It's like, oh yeah, I love Twin Peaks. Blah blah blah. It's like, the show's garbage, man. It's like, no, it gets better in season 2. I was like, does it? It's just,
I would,
me.
yeah.
I'm antagonistic, so like I will like
Oh, yeah.
play up certain things just to.
Yeah, you're going to be devil's advocate in that conversation for sure.
But
Yeah, yeah, there are parts of season 2 that I love, I am actively cringing at the thought of revisiting again
gotcha.
and having to watch in full.
Oh, we're gonna have a good time, aren't we,
Um,
Gabe?
oh God, yeah, I'm going to be right there with you on the hatred for these particular scenes. Trust
So
me,
does
they're coming.
David Lynch do the opening and the closing of season 2, or just
I know he does the last episode.
you don't know if he does?
Maybe the last 2. I don't know if he does the premiere of season 2.
Does he do the last
Well,
episode of this season?
I honestly don't know.
Oh.
I can check really quick if you'd like.
Oh, sure. I was just curious if he comes back or if he's just like he's too
He
busy.
does come back. He dips in and out. Like I said, he was out of the writer's room for most of season 2 because he was
But he
out
can give a
promoting
call to
Wild at Heart.
Mark Frost and be like, "Hey, brother, we need to do some of this."
He can, but he really didn't like working on the show at this point. He was
Does he
way
like
more into
Mark
making
Frost?
movies.
What is Mark Frost and his relationship? Are they
They
good?
they seem to get along fine. I mean, at least as coworkers. I don't know if they like, get together for Christmas celebrations or anything
Were
like
they
that.
were they paired out of the blue, or did they approach each other to make this show? I guess I don't remember if we talked about this. Like, were they
I don't know that I know the answer to this question.
were they friends beforehand, or
Or like, did someone pair them up? Or yeah, I'm gonna have to do some
all
research
right.
on the origins of that. Because yeah, now you got me curious.
Were they just at
Episode
some
killer,
party smoking some weed and it's like, "Hey, Mark Frost, I
right?
do
Just like,
TV." It's like, "Oh,
hey,
I'd love to do TV. Let's do a TV
this
show."
is
All
what I'd
right.
like to do.
Well, aren't you doing that now? Well, film's different than TV.
So Mark Frost actually gets the director's credit for the season finale.
Oh, okay. How many episodes did Mark Frost direct? Ultimately, do we know that?
There was more than one. Let
Any?
me double check
But is
his.
that's probably the first one for this season, huh?
No, he directed the third episode, I
Oh, did
want to
he?
say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did he?
Um,
All right.
yeah, I know there was another one. He does not have many director's credits. He's mostly on the writing end of things. Here we go. Director. Let's
I
just
like
look
how
and
I
see the
ask you all
cast
this
and
shit. I could
crew.
easily ask. I could easily
You
ask
could
Google
probably
my
get to it faster than I could. Yeah. Oh, I know. That is the only episode he's credited with directing, it looks like.
on this season.
On this season, yes.
Maybe some in the next one, but yeah, I didn't think he did. I haven't noticed his name directing on this season, so I was curious if he was only.
I want to say he was, because I know Lynch directed the first two.
I wonder
First
if he was
three,
on
it looks
set all the
like.
time. I wonder if he was always on
Oh,
set.
I'm sure he was. I mean, he does have EP credits. So like he and Lynch would have essentially been considered showrunners. And, if there were episodes where uh, Lynch was, not available to be in the writer's room because of promotional duties. Yeah, I guess he did not have a director's credit before that. I don't know why I thought he did. But anyway, yeah, so I'm sure he had, lots of say in how certain episodes went. I bet you he was on set every day, all day. If not actively working on rewrites, then just offering overall direction for the show as a whole.
He must be a big Lynch fan because he's adhering really hardcore to this Lynchian vibe the show has, even though Lynch ultimately has very little to do. I mean, ultimately, you know what I mean? Like Lynch has
Mm-hmm.
not as much to do with this show as Mark Frost ultimately. But Mark Frost has adhered this show to make it seem like it's David Lynch's epic, but it's probably unfair to like at some point like this is just as much Mark Frost as Mark Frost's Twin Peaks. Like it's kind of a is how do we know how was Mark Frost involved in Fire Walk with Me and The Return
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
fully?
Yep.
So they must get along well enough to like keep working together, and it's kind of
Yeah.
sad that he's for a guy who like ultimately is the champion or ultimately is the steward of the show, whereas Lynch would
Mm-hmm.
walk away and come back. This guy doesn't get as much credit. Everyone's like, oh, Twin Peaks, yeah, David Lynch, this, David Lynch, that. It's like, well, Mark Frost too. I mean, Mark Frost is kind of he's the one that stuck it out, really.
Yeah, and I would argue 100% that there's a lot of merit to that argument. He just doesn't keep the same kind of profile that Lynch does, and
That's fine.
he's got a quote here that I'm pulling from his IMDb page, where he says, "There were times when David was making Wild at Heart when I was doing almost all the work on Twin Peaks. But everybody wants to believe in the auteur theory that it all somehow springs from one person, and David had a much higher profile." But any credit you see for anything related to Twin Peaks, it's always created by Mark Frost and David Lynch.
100%.
So he's never.
Even I get
But
that.
as far as like modern parlance, and even us, like we introduced this show by talking about it as David Lynch's vision.
Right.
But it absolutely doesn't happen without David Lynch. But it also doesn't happen without Mark Frost.
Oh, right. The show doesn't survive without Lynch's name. I mean, Lynch's name is, above the title. It's like it is, that's what gets you the funding to keep going. But it's like clearly it's also this guy's vision. He wrote a majority of them. He's there.
But let's remember how much of season 2 is going to suck during these periods because David Lynch wasn't around. I mean, I don't know that we can place all of the blame on Mark Frost because he's not the only person who was in that writer's room. But if he was the one that was leading all of this work,
okay, what if I love these episodes?
Then I'm really going to be disappointed in your assessment of this show. Like, if we get to the parts that I tend to skip on my rewatches,
I can't
and you're like, no, this is exactly what I was hoping for, then we might have to call this whole thing off.
No, I think we have to keep going. I think you have to keep going further.
That's true. Yeah, no, we're not going to call it off for anything, but
it's just going to be it's going to be a rough 11 episodes on the back end.
I would have to reevaluate my entire assessment of you as a person.
I would just I almost watched Lost Highway. So I had my internet was out this past few days, and I had to hook up a Blu-ray player because I had no streaming options. So I was going through my DVD and Blu-ray collection to watch movies, and my wife was making fun of me. And I almost watched Lost Highway.
Do you have a 4K Blu-ray player yet? I mean,
no, I don't have a 4K. I don't have a 4K. I don't even have a 4K TV, Gabe. I'm a Luddite.
Really?
I don't really care about that shit.
Hell?
I rewatched the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, the extended versions, on DVD.
Not in 4K.
Not in 4K. Not even in HD.
Why even waste your time?
Standard, because it's not even important. That shit is not important to me. Because good storytelling, it doesn't matter. It's like watching shit on VHS. It's fine. Yeah, I don't really care.
I'm a sucker for visual fidelity. What can I say?
I don't care about that shit anymore. And which is funny because I'm a filmmaker. I do all that kind of shit for a living, and I get it. But like, if the storytelling's good, none of that shit matters to me.
I feel like 4K gives you a broader color palette to play with.
Sure, of course.
That's my.
No, you're not wrong.
That's just me.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at that at all.
That's where my appreciation of it stems from.
I just believe in good storytelling, and if good storytelling pulls me out of like paying attention to that kind of, if I'm paying attention to other shit, then the movie's not good. But if the story is good and I'm not paying attention to that shit, that's when I know. That's when I'm invested, and I get so like. Anyway, and there were times watching the Lord of the Rings extended editions, like, wow, there's some weird shit going on here. And obviously, it's an SD, so like it's standard definition. But then something in the story would happen, and I just get sucked in, and then I forget about it. I wouldn't pay attention. I wouldn't even notice it. Oh yeah.
Tell me it was in widescreen.
Yes.
If you watched
it's not. It's not.
It's not. You.
It's not 4:3. There's some movies that are just but there's some movies that are expressly shot in 4:3. Anyway.
Yeah.
No. Anyway. Yeah. I was just curious. Like, I'm kind of the Mark Frost of the Monty Wolf film universe, that we make movies together, and I'm kind of the guy that directs and produces, but he's the face and the more popular in that kind of genre of films we make. And so it's like I'm used to being kind of just in the background, and so like watching this for some reason this time, just saying Mark Frost does a lot more work in this right now. Like, it just seems like he's
a lot more of the actual, like, work. The leg work, if you will. Like, the typing and the coordinating. And yeah, like we said, his
The
His previous
the show
experience was as
running.
a story editor. Yeah. So he knows, like, he's the one that kind of holds the umbrella that everything falls under.
So I kind of feel for him. Like he's never going to get the props he maybe probably deserves because of David Lynch.
Could
But
be.
it's cool that he's been cool enough to like go on that ride with Lynch and been okay with it.
Yeah.
As Frost,
I
what
mean,
has
I think
Frost
he
worked
makes
on?
the same amount of money.
Has he done other shit? What has
Um,
Frost done?
Let me go back. Like, we did mention that he wrote the Tim Scott, or what was his name? Tim Story, the Tim Story Fantastic Four movies.
Mm.
He was the chief screenwriter for those.
All right, we did talk about some of this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry to bring it
he
up again.
did write a movie with James Spader called Storyville, which was a political thriller of some sort.
Hmm.
And then he wrote a couple of books about golf.
About golf. And he wrote that
About
book you're
golf.
reading, right? The the Twin Peaks.
Yeah, I haven't even gone back to that. I haven't had the time. I've been working on other stuff.
Right.
And he also wrote a second book, a tie-in that I'm more interested in. This one is called The Final Dossier. And I can't say much about this because it's written from the perspective of a character that doesn't turn up until until the return. But what it does is it fills in a lot of the gaps between the original series and the return. And it also explores what may have happened after the events of the return.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to ask you
But
that. Does the return pretty much put everything to sleep, or does it leave it? Could they come back at some point? I guess is like are we gonna see in like 20 years Lynch on his deathbed directing the last season, like Twin Peaks: The Resurrection or something? I don't know.
it's a possibility.
It is
I
a
mean, it would take
possibility.
some
All right.
explaining to bring back those actors if you didn't want to do a lot of the whole digital de-aging process. But nothing ever gets
Resolved in the
everything
original.
with Lynch. Yeah, well, with Lynch in general, everything is always left pretty open ended. Like that's just his way of storytelling. Is he's not giving you a beginning and an ending to this narrative. He's just giving you a vision, and he lets you. I really think this is more of just like, and again, maybe this kind of like comes back to the log lady and this being like the part that was the genesis of this whole series for him. It's really he's more of an oracle than anything else. He throws a lot of smoke and mirror and riddles at you and lets you determine your own meaning from it. Whether or not it's the same meaning he had in mind when he put it to film, who the hell knows?
Right. Right.
But in my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinions, that's really part of the fun, is coming up with your own theories and exploring what you think the answers to some of the unanswered questions are. And then, Mark Frost tends to be the one who is like, he's the developer who will spoil those Easter eggs for you and say, like, this theory is right, this theory is bullshit. And he doesn't do it often, but like he's done a couple of AMAs on Reddit where like he offers a few more details, sometimes in jest, but sometimes he's serious about them, or like like having more specific stuff in mind when the pen was put to paper, and a lot of that kind of like just fell by the wayside or got trimmed in the editing process, stuff like that.
Then, for your perspective of that kind of stuff, which of the two creators do you think is closer to the property, Lynch or Frost?
I mean, that depends on what you feel like the main gist of the property is. Um,
I'm just asking
what like
you.
what
This is your opinion.
my opinion? I feel like it's Lynch, because I feel like Lynch is the one who came up with all the Red Room stuff, and that's where the ultimate hook of the series lies for me, is in the metaphysical, the shit that happens beyond human understanding realm that he tries to explore. Um, Frost helps him find a way to ground that into a cohesive storytelling form.
Okay.
So it's kind of like distilling in a way
Gotcha.
to make any kind of sense of this whatsoever, to make a real story out of these just fractured images
Listen,
that Lynch comes up with that have like some sort of framework in mind, but a lot of times there are a lot of details that need to paper over those cracks. That
I'm just trying to get through this, and you're my Sherpa, so I have questions. I expect you to
yeah,
be honest
yeah,
with me. That's all.
and I am being honest with you. That's the way I see it. I really feel like, and again, yeah, you're right in that Frost does not get the credit he deserves for a lot of the dialogue, um, for a lot of the realism that is assigned to these characters. That's where his strength lies. I think is the realism. But as far as like just as far as like pushing the envelope, as far as like doing shit that had never been done on television before, that's all Lynch, 100%. And it was the weirdness of like, I mean, this was really my first experience with Lynch. Being 12 years old, I wouldn't have seen. I think I might have seen like parts of Elephant Man, but not in any kind of
You had to
context
have
where I could
seen
have
Dune.
evaluated. I really don't think I did at
Oh
that point.
man, my dad used to love showing us Dune.
No, my
I'd
dad
seen it
wasn't
so
really
many
like a big
times.
sci-fi movie nerd.
Oh, oh okay.
We saw like a lot of the kid-friendly sci-fi, like Star Wars and ET and shit like that, but no, I guess Dune wasn't in their wheelhouse. So I didn't see that one until my mid to late teens.
Yeah, that's like my first Lynch as a kid.
Yeah, nope.
Just like
As
what?
as a kid,
What is this?
Twin
This
Peaks.
is so
Twin Peaks was
bizarre.
my first
I don't
Lynch.
understand this. I don't really want to watch this, actually. And then we'd watch it all the time.
You wouldn't be able to avoid it.
All right. Well,
So yeah, so for
yeah.
me it was that's it was the Lynch factor that made it weird, and it was because it was weird that it caught my interest and kept my interest. So,
All right. All right. No,
but it wouldn't have been successful without Frost being able to guide Lynch into this particular format of storytelling.
right. Right. No, I that's cool. I just curious, and they seem to
Mm-hmm.
be still like a good working relationship, so like I just curious on what that kind of dynamic was, if you knew
Yeah, I
anything to it.
mean, and it really feels like The Return was way more of Lynch's project than it was Frost's. Um, and I'm very much looking forward to getting really deep into all the background material that they provide for the filming of The Return, and maybe getting a better sense of that dynamic for that particular run of it.
Does that
And
have
yeah,
like a Blu-ray release that has like behind the scenes
oh
stuff,
yeah,
or
yeah,
so
yeah.
you
I'm
have all
working
that?
off of the box set.
So you have all that.
Oh yeah,
Oh
I've
yeah,
got the whole collection.
I see. I got you.
Yeah, it's a limited edition box set. It
Ah,
comes with a certificate of authenticity that's numbered. Only 10,000 were made.
gotcha. Yeah, I'll just be watching on streaming, and I will not
Right?
be
Yeah.
seeing any of that stuff. But
You don't get any of the
write
fun
your
stuff.
notes down, and what does that put us
I'll just
at? So
have
like,
to.
let's see. So like, we have two more episodes, and we're done with this. And that finishes the inaugural run of Blank as a Fart, and then we go into 22 episodes. That's like a half a year. Like this next season is like not quite a half a year, but almost a half a
I
year of
really.
content. And then the return
Yeah,
is
it's a
what?
long run.
Just a short run again?
The
Like
return is 18 episodes.
oh eight? Oh, that's pretty long. I didn't think it was
Yeah,
that
it's a
long.
fair length.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah, the initial plan was for a much shorter run on a much smaller budget, and Lynch said, "Fuck you, pay me." And eventually Showtime backed down and gave him the money and the run that he wanted.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Oh,
the return is 18 episodes,
wow.
and it's
Okay.
really it's an 18-hour movie. That's the way it's directed.
Crazy. I know I have.
So,
My only concern at this point is Fire Walk with Me. I don't know if that's all the episodes of the shows are on. I have available on streaming. I don't. I
mhm.
haven't looked for a Fire Walk with Me. Uh,
I think it's on Prime. If not,
I'll
it's going to
rent
be
it.
hard to
I'll
find like
rent
a
it if
used
not.
copy.
I'll rent it
Yeah.
if not. But that
Or,
and that's right
you might have to
after.
do.
That's like right
Uh,
after. That's like
Walk with Me is actually a prequel
a prequel to what? The whole thing?
to the series.
So we should have watched that
Yes.
first.
No,
No.
no, because it gives a shitload of stuff away.
Oh.
Um,
Who's in it?
but it's uh, Fire Walk with Me is a movie about Laura. It pretty much goes over the last week of Laura's life.
Is it the same actress?
Hmm.
But no. But
The only actress or the only person that was recast that appears in the film that was also in the original series was they have a different actress playing Donna.
oh,
Lara
so
Flynn
Flynn
Boyle.
Boyle. So do a lot of
Yeah,
the
she did
show
not show up.
people from the movie show up in the movie? Oh, okay.
Yes,
Oh, interesting. Just not Coop.
Cooper does in a
How does he?
reduced role.
How did? Oh, is he like bookends it?
You could say that.
Yeah. Because how would he be there?
Um,
How would he be there?
well, you get into a lot more. Well, you start to learn a little bit more about the murder of Teresa Palmer as well,
Oh,
who
okay.
Cooper was investigating. That's the gal who had
Oh,
the similar conditions to Laura's murder, had the letter under the fingernail. Um, so yeah, you get an
hmm.
understanding of why Cooper was on that case in the first place,
I see.
and subsequently why he was put on Laura's case.
Gotcha. All right.
But yeah, it delves into a lot of detail that you haven't learned yet, and you won't learn until you've made it all the way through the
And
series.
Frost
So
was a part of that or no?
he has writer's credits on it,
Oh,
but
interesting.
I don't know if he has a producer credit.
Probably writer's credit only because of the show story.
Like based on or something.
Well, that he helped create the characters and maybe. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah. It doesn't look like he had much participation aside from helping create the characters. But we will have a lot more to
Are we
get
gonna
into
do that
that.
in one episode? Or are we gonna do that in two? You think?
I think we're going to do that in 2 episodes, and the reason for that is because there's kind of a second movie, which is called The Missing Pieces, and so that's essentially like
How am I
the
gonna
same
watch?
thing
How
they
am I
did.
gonna watch that?
You might have to come watch it at my place,
Oh my god!
right? Yeah, you might have to get in a car and drive.
No,
Um, no, he says,
I don't leave Vancouver.
absolutely not. I never cross state lines. It saps my powers.
Missing pieces.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the missing pieces did not see a release until 2014, when they did a big box set release uh, in advance of the release of the Return. That was just like the entire collection up until that point. So the missing pieces is basically about 80 to 90 minutes of material that was cut from the theatrical release of Fire Walk with Me.
Oh, okay, so we're doing the full film, and then we're doing this supplemental film, basically. I got you.
Right.
I got you.
Which I have never actually watched.
What
Uh,
is it
I've never
actually a
actually
movie, or
watched it.
does it actually make up a movie, or is it just this weird like collection of scenes?
I'm not entirely sure.
Oh my
I mean, you
god!
could argue that Fire Walk with Me is just a weird collection of scenes. So,
Is no. You could argue that this episode we just watched is a weird collection of scenes. Uh, no, you
any
know what I
David
mean.
Lynch film.
Like it's all cut up, so like it doesn't make sense.
I mean, I assume that they've run it in the same chronological order as the film progresses. But having never watched it, I don't honestly know.
How have you never watched it?
I just never got around to it.
Weird.
Yeah, I mean, I've owned the box set for a while, and I've only ever like gone through, since I've owned the box set, I've only used it to go through my second run through of the third of the Return.
You don't feel the need that you need to watch it now and like multiple times before I watch it? You don't feel like you need to walk me through it?
No, I kind of want to have that first experience with you, so we
Oh,
get to share that
the
on that one.
one time.
I have had a lot of the scenes in it spoiled for me.
Mm.
I've read summaries of certain aspects of it, so I know things that turn up in there that I was kind of expecting to turn up in the movie. That you know, anyway.
Gotcha. All right. All right. No, I'm just curious. It's like, oh,
So, but yeah, so we're not going to watch that until after we wrap season 2, but we will watch it before we start the Return
Right. That would only make sense.
because
We're
we
doing
have
things
to,
chronologically. I get it.
in order of release, is
Order
how
of
we're
release,
doing them.
yes.
Yes, because that's how the story is told.
We should watch everything just backwards. Just like from the left, just watch it back. No. Um,
As if it's not confusing enough.
what's going on? No. All right. Well,
Okay.
we did. This is the longest episode we've ever recorded, Gabe.
Yeah, we did some rambling
At
here.
2 hours and a minute so far. So
But yeah, that was some really good discussion toward the end there. I think that was some important ground we covered, and it lays a lot of the groundwork for what we're going to see in future episodes. So
I want to make sure. I mean, I don't want you to think that I'm just half-assing this and that I have
I
thought
don't
about
think you're
it.
half-assing it. I just worry that you're not enjoying it sometimes.
I am. There are. I mean, I'm honest. Honestly, there's stuff I'm not enjoying. It's like it's tough. Like it's not.
Yeah,
It's a tough watch for me. I'm not gonna lie, but I am invested in it. So it's not like I'm not gonna
yeah,
do it. But I do
and yeah,
enjoy. I do enjoy the breakdown. I do enjoy talking about it. I do enjoy seeing this kind of aspect of Lynch. This kind of like
hmm
very like it's very sea level and you know like to see like Lost Highway or Mulholland Drive where he deals with the same shit but just at a very higher level, like a
yeah. Where
polished
it's a
level.
much more refined.
It's
Yeah,
funny to watch this version of it and that this was a success, and I'm curious. And I'm 100% curious to watch these 2 seasons and then to watch The Return because I know The Return was highly regarded,
hmm
and you know that's like a better season of television. So like, and I can't get there until I go through this. So, so it's not like I don't like this all means something. So it's not like
hmm
but there are times like when I'm standing there watching that fucking gazebo scene with Donna and James, it's just like
I will tell you right now, almost all of the stuff that I hate the most about season 2 revolves around Donna and James.
oh yeah, they just seem so unimportant. But um,
Well, and then, once once that whole mystery is out of the picture,
like what's the point of
um,
those two?
right?
Okay,
Because they
I
don't
gotcha.
have a lot of tie into the deeper mysteries like some of the other characters do.
I feel
Um,
you. I feel you. But no,
so
I'm I'm invested. And I like watching bad things. To say something's bad does not mean it's not fun or good.
right.
I love bad movies. I love BC movies. I love watching just fucking trash. Uh, Trash can still be good. It can still inform you of things. It can still make you feel like you can make movies. This is the kind of like David Lynch has always been that kind of filmmaker to me that like, oh, I can be weird and goofy as long as as long as I believe in myself in that way, I can do that kind of stupid shit and get away with it. That's always how I've felt as a filmmaker. Um, so, yeah, regardless of how I feel about like a certain scene, it's acted, I'm still interested in it, and
hmm
I don't want you to feel like bad that I like if I talk shit about something. It's not that I'm just being honest, but it's not like
Right.
I haven't. It's not that okay. I've enjoyed all of this. even if it all sucks, and it hasn't all sucked. I like a lot of things. I mean, I love Audrey. I think Cooper's great. I love that. But there is some stuff that is stupid that I think is bad, but it's still very entertaining and funny. So, anyway.
There you go.
I think that pretty much sums it up. All right, let's.
I think that's a good way to wrap it up this week. Thanks for joining us for this extended discussion. Quick shout out to friend of the show, Domer, who provides us with our theme music for our show. The name of that song is Big Old Dead, and you can find it on the album Domer on iTunes and Spotify. So that's us wrapping it up, episode 6. I didn't touch much base on what's happening next week, but I think if I do, I'll spoil a lot of stuff that got left hanging. So
that's all right.
I'll just leave it as things are really going to ramp up before we end this season. So get ready, because we're going to see a lot of stuff happen over these next couple weeks.
You know what we're all going to see?
What else?
Right up here. The email address. blankasafartpod@gmail.com.
That is right. That's us at Gmail. I should probably check that account one of these days to see if anybody emailed us.
Probably nobody, but
probably nobody. But,
it might get more popular when we separate from Couch Co-op and go on our own. I imagine this might blow up a bit more. I believe in this podcast,
gain a little traction.
And I feel like we need our own website or our own podcast website. And it'll be fun. It'll be cool to see like where we really stand on our own versus.
Yeah. Spread our wings and fly. Just like an owl.
Just like an owl.
An owl flying silently over the ridge.
Right.
What was the line about the devil is like fire and smoke burning your eyes? Something like that.
But anyway, kids, blankasafartpod@gmail.com. You can, and we'll read your emails on the air. One of us will. I don't know who will, but one of us will.
Yeah, one of us. Whoever checks the account.
One
of these days.
I don't think I have that, so you're going to have to check it, but I can read it.
Yeah. I'll check it, but you'll read it. Anyway, also on Instagram, @blankasafart. Also on Facebook, blankasafart. That's where you'll find links to the shows and my clever banter and hashtags. Oh, yeah. I'm working at it. Thanks again for joining us, folks. We're having fun. We hope you are too. We'll see you next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.
And remember to be blank as a fart.
Blank as a fart.
I don't know. I'm trying to find it. We need to find a tagline.
I still want to stick with "One day the sorrow will end."
That's a good one.
It's gonna have to be a log lady line, whatever it is.
One day
the sorrow will end. Good night, all.